you see me and hear me? Am I visible? Am I audible? Guys, can you see me, hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Hello, yes, we can hear you and see you.
All right. Awesome. Great. So let's begin our session for today. Keep your back and neck straight. Sit comfortably. And when you feel ready, very gently close your eyes. Start watching your breath. Observe the natural flow of your breathing as you inhale and as you exhale. Slowly take the attention to the body. Just check that you are correctly aligned. Back neck should be straight. Your body should be relaxed. You should be comfortable and stable in your posture. Slowly come back to the breathing and consciously begin to deepen your breath. Slow, long and deep inhalations. Slow, long and deep exhalations. Relax the mind and prepare yourself for chanting Om 3 times, followed by 3 Shantis. Take a deep inhalation for Om. 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 Shanti. 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 Just observe the vibrations. Join both your palms together and begin to rub both your palms. Keep the palms on the eyes. Very slowly while blinking and looking at your palms. Open up the eyes. Come back with a smile. Namaste. Let us begin our session for today. So today we are going to begin with the schools of yoga, right? So we have four main schools of yoga. So first let me give a brief introduction of this topic itself. So the schools of yoga, they are like different ways in which you can start your journey, right? So suppose somebody, they don't like jumping around a lot, or they don't like the physical practice a lot, right? So then they begin with some other form, right? Suppose you are someone who is very emotional, you connect with your emotions a lot. So you can channel, this is your strength, your emotions are your strength. So what yoga does is it gives the proper channel to something, right? So yoga will give the proper channel to your emotions. Suppose you believe in the work that you do, right? So yoga will give you the correct channel to uh, direct this energy, right? What kind of task you should do, or how you should do the task, right? So yoga elaborates on this thing, right? So depending on your personality, what is your strength, you guys can go ahead and choose the path that is most suitable for you, because this path is going to act as a motivator. You already believe in that thing, and then when you start doing it, you start seeing results, so you follow it up more and more, right? Eventually all the paths of yoga, they are leading to one final point only, where you eliminate all of your sufferings, right? But the beginning point changes depending on which school of yoga you are planning to adopt, right? In Bhagavad Gita, there are 18 different ways that are given, right? And we are going to cover the four main schools of yoga. So there are four main branches, right? And I will elaborate on all four of them. So if you like any one of them, you guys can go ahead, read that chapter in Bhagavad Gita and read more in detail about that school of yoga and see where that kind of practice is offered, or where you can find the opportunity to, you know, um, uh, do this practice, right? So today we are going to discuss the very first school of yoga, which a lot of people can practice, right? Which is karma. If you talk of Bhagavad Gita, this has been elaborated in the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Karma, this term literally means action. Or you can also say work. Okay, so when you follow this path of yoga, you are changing how you are doing the work and what kind of work you are also doing. Eventually, you begin to go in a different direction, right? You try to channel most of your time, your effort, energy towards those things, right? So, if you really see that when you do something, there is a result, and you are a very strong believer in this thing, that all the little changes that you are making, there is going to be a bigger impact of your actions, then you guys can go ahead and practice this school of yoga, right? So now karma means action, but action not only on the physical level. So for a beginner, it is the action on the physical level, right? That is easy to understand that I'm doing the action on the physical level. If I am like doing X thing, then this is the impact it is having, and this is how everything is changing. Like when you change the diet, so this is the impact it is having on you. So you can physically see the change, right? So you begin with this point, right? But actually the action is taking place on three levels overall, right? Your mind, your body, and your speech. So all three actions are important when we talk of karma, right? So there is a channeling and purification on all the levels, right? And thought is the uh, like subtlest level at which you work when you do karma yoga, right? This is where the concept of intention comes in. Like yesterday also when we were doing the three gunas, so I told you guys that okay, you have to deeply check whatever thing you are doing which can be sattvic, it can have other qualities also attached to it, right? So in that same way, the karma yogi, they are working on the thought level, right? So you begin with the physical practices, then you start seeing that what you speak of, that also begins to change, right? And then it goes on deeply into the thought. And for a yogi, the thought level is the most important one, right? When we think of something, that reflects on our speech and in our action, right? Suppose you get very angry, right? So if you get angry, then the thought has come in. First thing is the thought comes in, right? Then you start getting angry because you analyze the situation, and then you think that this is not what you like, right? Then anger comes up, then you say something bad to someone, right? And if you are very very angry, you might even hit the other person, right? So it is the thought which is actually amplifying, right? And it shows up in the form of speech and action. This recognition is very clear to someone who is closely observing themselves. It is not that their action is leading to the thought, or their speech is leading to the thought. The thought is leading to the other two things, right? And all of them show in the form of action, right? So Krishna ji, when he talks in Bhagavad Gita in the third chapter, he says to Arjun that for a human being, it is impossible to live without karma, right? Without action. At each point of time when you are alive, there is some action going on, right? So now you are alive, you are thinking, you are speaking, you are acting, right? So on either one of the level, the action is going on, right? So he says that it is impossible for a human being to escape the action or the karma, right? As long as you are alive, this is an indication that you are alive, that the karma is going on, right? But he says that you can change the expectation that you attach with it, right? So most of the times when we do something, there is some expectation, or we don't do it out of detachment, we are always attached, right? So he says that when you remove this element, so most people when they come in yoga, they ask this question: if we suspend all desires, if we do this thing or that thing, means we will not have any aims or targets, right? Yoga doesn't say this thing, right? Your action is important. It is impossible to suspend the action, but it is possible to change the quality of the action. And that is what is elaborated in the third chapter in Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna ji clearly says that it is the choice of the human being that they want to go do the task with an expectation or release that expectation. This is the only thing that we have in our control. We don't have the control over do we want to perform an action or not. It is going on all the time, right? We cannot control this thing, we cannot suspend action. So most of us, when we think okay, we come to you, so we have to suspend the action. No, you cannot. But how, the thing that you have control over is the choice that you are making, right? This attachment is what leads to the multiplication of the fluctuations, right? It is not the action or the desire itself. It is the attachment to the desire which is again and again, getting you, in between the circle. Again and again, this cycle is repeating because of the element of attachment and not the action itself, right? And this Krishnaji clarifies in the third chapter completely. So when Arjun, Arjun basically argues, right? So before this, Krishnaji was trying to explain, okay, you should, if knowledge, he elaborates on knowledge being very supreme, right? So Arjun immediately, like we guys, immediately we go and question, okay, if knowledge is the supreme, then why should we do the action? The same way Arjun, he questioned, he was just like, then what is the point of my action? So then Krishnaji, very lovingly he explains this thing and he says, no, at each and every point of time, your action should be conducted as a sense of duty. When you are standing in this war, it is your duty to fight. Yes, you cannot run away from this thing. Yeah. So action, like we did in the definition of yoga also, action should be conducted with perfection, right? So I've already elaborated on a lot on this thing in the previous classes. So yoga karmasu kaushalam, right? Perfection in action, right? So how is there perfection in action? Do one thing at a time, do it with full concentration and dedication, right? Your mind should be over there and you have to suspend the expectation. So how do you attain the perfection? This is how you begin to do it, right? In the beginning only, whatever you are doing, you will, okay, you are cooking, so you will try to get your mind again and again back over there. Eventually it will start working on the deeper levels also, right? So there's a very famous story that goes on, right? So Shivji and Parvati, both of them are actually husband and wife, but Shivji also happened to be the guru of Parvati ji, right? So when they were at home, husband and wife, and when they went to the, when Shivji he was teaching, so he became the teacher and she became the student, right? So one day, in the morning, Shivji said that, okay, today we are going to learn this. So Parvati ji said, fine, I will join you, right? So Shivji, he went wherever he used to take the class and he, just sat and meditated till Parvati ji joined him, right? So now before our class, like, we also, when we have to go to school or college or work, we bathe and everything, we get ready, no? So in that same way, Parvati ji also, she bathed, she got ready and she went into the class. So Shivji said that, Shivji was meditating, he opened his eyes and he said that, no, you have to go and take a bath again. I don't think you have taken a bath, right? So now, as soon as she enters the class, she cannot question her guru, right? So then what would she do? What would she say? So again, she would go back, she would go and bathe, right? Then again, as soon as she stepped into the class again Shivji opened his eyes and said, no, you haven't taken the bath properly, go and bathe again, right? And they used to live like in a place which was, it was very cold out there, like not like us, we have all the facilities, we have hot water, right? So she was, whenever she used to go and bathe, it was in the river, right? And it was very cold. So each and every time, she used to step in again, she used to say the same thing. So she got very irritated and frustrated. She was just like, ghar aane do, right? Let him come home, then I will be the wife and he will be the husband, then I will tell him, right? So, like that, her mind started, like she was not able to understand why Shivji was again and again, asking her to go and take a bath. So this continued for a very long period of time, right? Again, she used to go, she used to bathe, then come back, Shivji used to open the eyes, say, go bathe again, right? And after a few times, she realized why he was saying this again and again, right? And it hit her. And then the next time she bathed, enter, right? So what was the difference, between all other times and after the time she realized that, okay, This is what he's trying to teach me, right? So gurus are very intelligent. They used to give the task to the student and they used to wait for the student to realize the thing, right? So the time she realized, why he is sending her again and again, her way of bathing changed. Shivji wanted her to feel each and every drop of water that touched her body, right? That is the level of awareness he wanted her to have when she was bathing, right? So how do we live our lives? We just bathe, we get ready, we run to work, we come back, we run towards our responsibilities, we come back. We never stop to see, that we are, experiencing something right now, to fully absorb that experience is what yoga is. When you are doing what you are doing and you are present. So if you are actually present, so next time, you do something, or just take the task of bathing only. Next time you wake up, you go take a bath, just see, are you able to feel each and every drop of the water, right? Are you able to properly, exist at that point of time when you are conducting that activity? The yogi is aware, right? The person is aware of each and everything. That is the depth till which, yoga comes into you when you practice karma yoga. Karma yoga is each and every action, it is like a way of praying, when they conduct themselves, do their actions properly, fulfill their responsibilities, it is actually a way of offering made to God, right? That is the depth till which the karma yogi practices. There is no task which is below their level or too high for them. Whatever they are given, they do it as a sense of responsibility and fulfill that task, complete that task, right? And for them, there is no, like we have, this distinction, we should do this thing, we should not do this thing, right? Whatever is given to you, the karma yogi, does the task properly, right? They understand that it is not what task has been given, but how you are doing it. That is what matters the most to the karma yogi. You will, if you ever happen to, come across any karma yogi, you will see this thing. They are, they are not concerned if they are put in one department or the other, right? They could be asked to clean the room, or they could be asked to, go and teach somewhere. For them, everything is equal, right? There is no distinction that exists. And this is the state till which you guys will also reach. But you will have to practice again and again. Initially, it will be tough, right? Initially, you will be like, how do I do this thing? Right? But eventually you come to that stage where it begins to seep in and your thoughts begin to change, right? The way in which the intention that you are setting again, it begins to change, because it is the intention which will give the fruit, right? It will not be what you are doing. Earlier also I took this example, right? So there's another story that goes on, right? So at one point of time, a person who was very wealthy, right? He was passing through a forest, right? And there was a thief, right, over there. And the thief really wanted, he knew that the person had a lot of money. And of course, he needed that money. So what he did was, so look at the action is going to be the same, right? So what this person did was, this person, attacked the um, person, the other one who was crossing by the forest, right? So same action he did. He took out a knife, right, and he stabbed the person in the stomach. right? And this led to the death of the other person, and he took the money from him, right? So our action is that he took out the knife, stabbed the person in the stomach, and this led to the death of that person, right? Now, same thing. Another person, he is very ill, right? And the doctor feels that the best thing to do is operate the person, right? To get that thing out, right? So the patient on the final day, he shows up, right? And the surgery begins. And as soon as that happens, again, the doctor takes out the knife, you know, and cuts the stomach open, right? And because of some mishappening, death occurs, right? So again, the same action, knife was taken out, the abdominal area, it was stabbed, and it led to the death of the person, right? But the results of both these actions are going to be very, very different, right? Same action is taking place, but in the first case, the person who had the ill intention in the mind, right, they are going to have a very different result. The same thing happened, death took place, but the result, the state of mind with which the person stepped in and performed that task, right, it was completely different. It was out of ill will. And then in the second case, the doctor was trying to save a life, right? So the intention with which the doctor stepped in, it was totally different, right? And then the same thing happened, the death occurred, but this action will bear a very, very different fruit than the other one, right? So now you guys decide, when you do something, always check your breathing, always check the state of your mind before you begin to do something. Now you guys are getting more and more aware of how you can increase the mindfulness in your life, right? So every time you do something, or you have to take a decision, or you have to analyze why you are doing something, always check your breathing, always check the state of your mind, and then begin to do that task, right? And in lifestyle also, I explained this deeply when I explained the concept of food, how your state of mind should be when you're cooking the food, right? Again, it will add that same intention into your food, right? So that is a very simple and little example, but this applies to everything in your life, right? When you are stepping in and doing something, how do you do it? That thing has a very, very heavy weightage, right? Any doubt so far on the concept of karmayoga, what it is?
I have no doubt, but I was thinking about I come from Germany and we have like a saying for that because it's a bit difficult if people are doing actions and say, oh, I have a higher reason for it. And so they try to explain why they are violent or why they are doing like the comparison with a murder, you say. And yeah, this is a big problem. I think that people doing action and they are telling they have a higher reason for it, and then they feel like they are allowed to do it. So I was just thinking.
Can you give me an example of this thing, like a very little example? Then I'll be able to explain better. Like,
yeah, there is a good example we have for like right or left violence in our streets. And the people are really angry with the government, and then they are burning down cars and stuff like that, and they are telling, oh, this is for a higher reason, we are fighting for this and that, or they are killing people in the name of church or in the name of I don't know what higher reason they are telling. This is a big problem because people feel the right to do that because they think they are doing something right.
see, whenever the action is the intention I'm focusing on, because for you guys this will matter a lot, right? So in this case, suppose, so when the intention is good, then there is no harm caused. You will see this thing, right? Like you're saying that they are killing other people, and then they're justifying this thing that it is for the greater good, right? So this thing is not correct. Why? Because in this process, they are harming so many other people. So, of course, I'm focusing on intention to tell you that the intention also counts, and it is the one which is going to give you the result. So now, people outwardly they will justify, right? They will try to justify that they are doing for it for the greater good. But all of us are separate individuals, right? So no matter what somebody says, their actual state of mind is what is going to give them the result. So suppose they are giving this reasoning, right, and then they are when they are doing this thing, this, if the state of the mind is correct, you will never harm. Okay, you will never cause the harm. So when the doctor also, they this example that I gave, when the doctor took the knife and conducted the surgery, so he did not do it with the intention of harming. He did it with the intention of saving, right? And the person who purifies and cleanses their mind, they will never ever harm, right? Then the intention will not have to be justified, right? It will speak for itself. Now people are harming other people, causing as you are saying, causing chaos, means that the impurities of the mind are overpowering them, right? This is the impurity of the mind that is making them do this action, right? If they were truly in touch with their intention and truly practicing karma yoga, they would never ever harm anything or anyone around them. The yogi sees this thing very, very clearly, right? Very clearly. And you will see the action of the yogi is never one which harms anyone else. They live in so much harmony with nature. This is like people using the concept of intention just just to tilt things in their favor, right? If the actual awareness comes in, if karma yoga is practiced properly, then this kind of thing will never ever be done. Take my word for it, because you become more aware of your mind, you become more aware of your actions, and the yogi realizes whatever I put out there, it is going to come back, right? So suppose wherever you guys are, if somebody lights a fire around that place, right, and they say that you are sitting in the room, right, you are safe, you are safe, fire is all around you outside, right? But the person is telling you you are safe, you are safe, right? So you will say the person has gone mad. Why? Because if there is fire all around me, it is bound to hurt me, right? I will feel the heat, and eventually it is going to enter the room and destroy everything wherever you are sitting, right? This thing, this recognition is what the purification of the mind gets you to. Now this thing that they are doing, the government did something, so you can never uh, 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 you know calm down the fire with fire, right? If I go and add petrol to the fire, I will only increase that. So suppose the government did something, I'm not giving any opinion on this thing, I'm just telling you from the point of view of action, right? Suppose somebody did something which impacts you, right? So now if you fight back in the sense that not in the right way, so now going for all of these protests and everything in a non-violent way, maybe it would have sent out the message, right? But now that the violence has come in, so they are fighting with the same you know anger and that kind of state of mind. They would be angry, right? They are acting out of anger, not out of a sense of detachment. They are attached to their actions, and if somebody is harming, again causing the harm, then it is bound to come back. This is what the entire concept of karma yoga says: always treat people as you would like to be treated, right? Because the way in which you put yourself out there, right, it is going to come back, right? And this is not something I am saying or I have observed. This is in general, you can try this thing, right? If today you are causing harm to someone outside of you, it is, you are also going to get harmed someday, right? I don't know when it will happen, but it is bound to happen. So you create your own depending on your present way of action. You are creating your future, and the way in which you acted in the past, it is showing up in the present. Whatever circumstances you are in your present time, that is a result of the past actions. And the yogi recognizes that at this point of time I have the power to change this action, which will give the fruit in the future. So they, you know, work on changing whatever is going on right now, so that the future will also, move in that direction, right? I don't know if I answered your question correctly, but I'm just elaborating more on the philosophy of Karma Yoga, what Karma Yoga is saying on these things.
Yes, you did, ma'am. Thank you so much.
All right. Any other doubts that are there from anyone?
No, ma'am.
Any doubts? All right. Okay. So Karma Yoga. So Karma Yoga believes in showing up for your work as a point of worship, right? And second thing, this suspension of results has been given a very unique term. If you see in Bhagavad Gita also, Nishkam Karma. Nishkam Karma, Nishkam, of result. Okay, so when one performs the action in this way, it leads to the suspension of ego. So what we are actually trying to work on is the I state, right? Where everything I feel as if I am experiencing, right? Which is the ego. Ego is not bad or good, right? It's just the identification with the self, right? And it is important, but we are not using it in the correct way, right? So when you go into the practice of karma yoga, this I-ness, it begins to dissolve, and you come more to the approach of we, right? Where you see that your action is contributing to a greater purpose, you can say, or it is impacting everything around you, right? So the way in which you do your task, it is going to affect how everybody else is also going to conduct themselves, right? Or it is going to impact how everything around you is, right? So when you go for selfless service, suppose you volunteer something, right? So you see that there is a contribution that you are adding, right? As an individual, you are adding the contribution, but it is so different from the other scenario where you are working for earning the money, right? Because now when you do the task, you are not constantly carrying the burden that I should only do this much because I am only getting this much out of it, right? So you will see a lot of people, they um, sometimes restrict themselves also, because money adds, even though it is very important for sustaining life, it adds a lot of burden on us, right? We don't step out or do more because this is the worth that has been placed on us, right? When we get a salary or earn XYZ amount of money. So this is, how much you are worth. A lot of people, if you even ask them for their introduction, they give their profession. That is how closely they are connected to their profession, right? So when you suspend this thing, when you go into volunteering, these kinds of things in seva, right? Whatever you believe in, you go and serve over there, right? You will see this thing that the burden. So this expectation is adding the burden on you. So you might realize it, you might not realize it. That is a different thing. But there is a burden that is added on you when something gets attached to it. It could be an expectation, it could be the return or the income, right? Anything. But the main thing is that because of that thing, you are getting more and more load in your life, right? So how to reduce that load? You act as if you are serving, right? So when this thing begins to seep into your being, right? When this thing comes up on your being, right? So you get free. You are not burdened, right? This comes with a lot of training of the mind also. So it's not very easy to, imbibe or incorporate in the life. It comes with a lot of training and a lot of work that you put in. But when you volunteer, you don't expect anything in return. You are like, let me do my work, right? And then I will, just go back home, right? No expectation, no foundation, right? You work more freely. You will see this thing. You when you go and you give some service, right? Without expectation, you will see you are not limiting yourself also. If you can do this much amount of work, or you can give in this much amount of effort, you will give in that much. And in fact, you will try to do more. You will try to do better only in that scenario, because you see the impact that you are creating, right? So initially on the beginner level, when you put like do the physical work, you begin to suspend the expectation, right? And the best way to work on your ego is to do the tasks which are very mundane and very very not everybody does would do those tasks, like every day cleaning your room, right? When you know clean your room, you see that how you are existing, that is creating an impact on your environment only, right? Maybe you don't like folding the clothes, so your room at all, that unless and until you don't get that work done, you will see this consequence come up, right? If somebody else is doing for you, then there is a different thing. But when you begin to do it for your own self, you see how much effort somebody else is also putting in when they do this work for you, right? uh, Maybe cleaning the house, right? So in today's time, a lot of us, we don't take out the time to clean our own house, right? We don't have that kind of time also. And there are a lot of people that we can hire who do those things for us, right? So we are getting away from the basic things of life. Washing the clothes on your own, again, if you feel that you have a very very you get easily triggered, or you feel that okay, some people have this recognition that their ego is very hard. Okay, so what you can do, you can begin by doing these little things, right? Cleaning the washroom works greatly on the ego, right? I have seen this change come in me also. So in my house, I had to do nothing, right? But when I came over here, now I have to take care of everything, right? So the little things that I didn't do at home, which made me shout and yell at everybody around me, right? That why you're not doing this or that. Then I started doing those things on my own, and I saw the amount of effort and the work that you have to put in to do those things, right? So I saw this immediate impact on the sense of ego that I had, right? Now when I clean my washroom, I know how much effort it takes. Earlier I didn't, right? So slowly, when you do the little things, in fact, these things which not a lot of people like doing, those are the things that are actually going to work on your ego a lot, right? The suspension of the ego that will come in with this thing a lot. And then surrendering the action again. When you surrender your action, then again it becomes very, very easy for you to step away and be relaxed. So if I'm not doing something for myself and that task is actually done for, or I have this thing set in my mind that, okay, I'm devoting each and every action to this person, not this God, right? So it takes the burden off me, right? I am just trusting that someone is going to take care, right, of whatever I'm doing, right? And I free myself mentally that, okay, I just have to do this thing again and again, again and again. So this will lead to what? This will only lead to your relaxation. That is why, these little tricks and tactics, they work on us, because we are not able to give relaxation to the mind. When the mind is not relaxed, the task that you do, that is also not done with perfection, right? And perfection is totally attainable, right? Bhagavad Gita says this thing. It is totally attainable that you can be perfect at something, but you have to slowly begin to nudge, right? So to in the beginning, so today you guys can experiment, right? So suppose there is some task that you don't do in your house, right? Generally, so you can go ahead and do that thing, and you can see how it is working on the state of your mind. So like I will give a very common example. So this is very, very like so I don't like washing utensils, okay? So in the lockdown, when I was at my home, so they were having rotation of whatever everybody had to do, right? So at that point of time, one day, I was given the task of washing the utensils. So I was just like, okay, fine, I will do it, right? But now everybody in my house knew that she doesn't like doing this thing, right? So, and even I had this expectation that if I will wash the utensils, I will get a lot of appreciation, right? It's like once in a blue moon, I would do this thing, right? So I was anticipating a lot of appreciation when I did that thing, right? So eventually, I went to the kitchen, I washed all the utensils, and when I came out, everybody in my family, they were doing whatever they were doing, right? So my sister was studying, everybody in the family, they were doing whatever they were supposed to do during the day, right? And I stepped out with so much pride that I had, washed the utensils, right? And I've done such a great task today, right? And then at that point of time, I saw that nobody appreciated me. It hurt me only, right? I observed this thing very closely. It caused hurt to me only because I was expecting that I don't do this thing. So everybody should, come and appreciate me for this, right? And everybody was just involved in whatever they were doing, right? So there is nobody, it is nobody's fault. But we constantly expect in little things that, somebody will come and, appreciate us, or somebody will come and, tell us that we are doing very good, right? And I have already told you that story, the story of, appreciation, and are you a good person or are you a bad person? So I was a fool, right? I was stupid in that situation, right? So in that same way, when you begin to realize this thing, like I realized that, okay, I was a fool, right? So it helped me. It helped me to break down that thing that, okay, no, you cannot, right? You have to do the task for the mere sake of doing that task instead of just constantly looking for validation outside of you, right? That, okay, you are going in the right direction, you are not. That has to, you have to be sufficient in yourself. That is what sufficiency is, as per my understanding, right? So this is the entire concept of karma yoga. If you want to read more about karma yoga, you can go to the 3rd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, or you can also look for another book. So Swami Vivekanand, he has written books on all forms of yoga, right? So he has also written a book on karma yoga. SWAMIVEKANANDA. Swami Vivekanand. His book is called Karmayoga only. So if you like this concept, if you feel you can follow through, it will you will not have to leave anything behind. You can be wherever you are and already work on incorporating karma yoga in your life, right? So you can go ahead, get a hold of this book. Again, very, very cheap book. I think 30-40 rupees only. So you guys can get this and you can start reading it already if you like this form or school of yoga, right? Any doubts in today's session? No doubts? All right. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's close our class for today. Sit comfortably, keep your back and neck straight. Gently close the eyes. We will chant Om one time, followed by 3 Shantis. Take a deep inhalation for Om. Om. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Join your palms together, gently bow down. We will begin our day with a sense of gratitude. Begin to rub your palms together. Keep your palms on your eyes. Very slowly, while blinking and looking at the palms, begin to open up your eyes, come back with a big smile. And namaste to everyone. I will see all of you for your pranayam class in the afternoon. Take care, guys, and bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.